Caucasus for many years, and we have been also active in other nations of the Caucasus, causes, the Chechen cause in Chechnya, the First War, the Second War. And there was a lot of work done among Circassians and other Caucasus people to support Chechnya in the past here in the United States of America. The focus of our work as Circassians in the United States has been for the past 20 years since we started is to establish knowledge among people who don't know the Circassian people, who don't know the Caucasus people, to become aware of the tragedy fell on the North Caucasus and other parts of the Caucasus too that led to the total occupation of North Caucasus nations by the Russian Empire. After that, the control of the Soviet Union, and after that, the control of the Russian Federation. Our activism is not historical per se. We do believe that we should know history, but our work has been focused mainly on the present and the future of the Circassian people and on the other Caucasus people. By also way of introduction, back in the 70s, when the Circassian community started arriving in the United States after World War II, actually World War I, World War II, and the 1967 war, a large Circassian community gathered here in the United States along with other Caucasus people, and they established the so-called the North Caucasus Liberation Front, which is a movement that was established toward the end, actually, of the Soviet Union. It gained some momentum, and of course, it was attacked, and it was weakened by so many elements. But actually, North Caucasus people, whether Circassians, Chechens, Ossetians, Dagestanis, and Ingush, along with other people from the North Caucasus, established the so-called movement back in the early 70s. Leaders of this movement, many of them are no longer with us, but they are the pioneers of establishing the freedom of speech element of our communities to convey to the world the tragedy of the North Caucasus, the tragedy of Circassians, and the real desire to establish some type of independence and nationhood for all nations of the Caucasus. They also created a flag, and that's the same flag that we have seen in some of our conferences. That is the flag for the North Caucasus nations. But North Caucasus nations and people with us today, they also believe in the unity of the entire Caucasus in a way. And of course, no one can forget the credible help and support of Georgia to recognize the North Caucasus tragedies, in particular of the Circassian people, and recognition of the Circassian genocide in 2010. So our focus here as Circassians in the United States is focused toward today, the present, and the future of the North Caucasus people in general, and the tragedies and the desires of Dagestan, Circassia, Ingushetia, and Chechnya to gain freedom and independence and to live as a free nation, just like all other nations of the world. And that would be my 2 minutes introduction, Chamil. Thank you.
I translated your speech. I summarized your speech in Russian, and now we will give the word to our brother Adel. Please introduce yourself and explain us your vision on this project, on this committee, and on your activism.
Thank you, Brother Chamil. I would like first to greet participants in this meeting, and hopefully that this will be a good start for our future work. I was born in Amman, Jordan, where my family from both sides, father and mother, were immigrated and deported from Circassia in the 19th century. I was active in North Caucasus, Chechnya, Circassia, work since the 90s, because before that we were not able to get enough information about what has happened with us all during the war that Russia waged against all of us for more than 100 years. I published 3 books. One of them is, or the last one was Circassia and Ukraine, 2 nations, even Russian genocide cannot destroy. That was the last one. The one before, the Circassian miracle, the nation neither Tsars nor Commissars nor Russia could stop. And the first one was, the last but not least, it's Circassia Born to be Free. I was active mostly in writing articles, translating documents, participating in gatherings and conferences, even demonstrations between Jordan, the United States, and even I had the chance to participate in events in the European Union 2 times before. I joined other conferences in Germany, in Georgia, especially in Tbilisi and Anaklia. That was when Georgia recognized the Circassian genocide after 2011. And something to mention here. I was very active in internet and establishing even websites to publish what was going on in Chechnya since late Dodayev till the time that Kadyrov came and the exiled Chechen government was moved outside Chechnya. Since then, it was important that the Circassian question was addressed more intensively, not only by me, by others who were, I would consider them partners in trying to show the world and explain what has happened with our nation since we had to be deported and since the genocide that was committed against our nation. 2 minutes finished. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adel. I will try to summarize your speech in Russian. Adel, thank you very much. Now we will give the word to our brother Ahmed Akhmadov. Ahmed.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Братья, меня Ахмед зовут, фамилия Ахмедов, живу в Украине.
So, first of all, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank everyone for having me here. My name is Ahmed Akhmadov. I'm a president of Congress of Dagestan, Dagestani people in Ukraine. Since the war has started, I've joined the Ukrainian forces to resist the Russian invasion. And one of the main reasons I did that was because Russian propaganda has been demonizing Dagestanis and in general all Caucasians who are unfortunately are fighting on the Russian side in big numbers, and they've been portraying them as these loyal puppets of the Russian regime, which is not the case. And that was one of the, like I said, main reasons why I've joined the resistance and have been fighting since day one of this Russian invasion. Some of the biggest issues we're facing today, as in Dagestani people are facing today, is the fact that Russia has been showing and portraying Caucasians in general as loyal puppets of the regime, and unfortunately the leaders of these so-called republics are as if they are in competition to show who's more loyal to the Putin's regime, which is historically, and not only historically, in general is not the case. And we have Caucasus has never been part of the Russian Empire. It's been occupied, and that is the main reason we are here today alongside our brothers from Circassia. Also the fact that all these brothers, including Ahmed Zakaev and our Circassian brothers, everything they've been doing from the start of this conflict to show the world what the true Caucasians stand for, and want to make sure that the image that the Russians are creating of the Circassians, it does not go through in the minds of the people in the West. Так, ну, примерно вкратце и так, Chamil.
Yes, he has also said that our project, the project of Confederation of the people of Caucasus, is a very necessary, very needful and beneficial project, and that he is very motivated to participate in it. So I hope that everybody hears well and understand well. We make our possible to translate all the speeches. So if there are some errors or some imperfections, please excuse us. This is the test version of our broadcast. I hope that in the future we will make better results and better broadcasts. So now we have finished with introduction of committee members, and I will ask our guest, Rizvan Kubakaev, Nogai activist, to introduce himself and make a speech of 2 minutes.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome. I'd like to start by talking a little bit about my background. So I've been a political activist for a very long time now. Since 2014, I've left my homeland, Northern Caucasus in general, and I was exiled by the Russian Empire, like many of our ancestors have been before. The Caucasian people have resisted Russia for a very, very long time now, and there's been many different occasions on when Russia has invaded or done terrible things to many nations in Northern Caucasus, and the resistance throughout history has happened many times, and we as Nagai people have been involved in starting from Sheikh Mansour, Imam Chamil, and up to even the most current events which took place in Chechnya. Many of our brothers have joined the forces with Chechens, and we fought alongside them in the most recent battles as well. So as you can see behind me, there's 2 daggers, which are Circassian daggers, and we have utmost respect for all our Circassian brothers in their struggle. Again, historically, they have shown and have fought Russian Empire since, again, going back to the times of Sheikh Mansour and even beyond that. So the reason we have all united today is, again, because of the Russian aggression in Ukraine, and the Ukraine has shown its will to fight back, and today it leads our battle for independence, not only for Ukraine, but for the whole of the Northern Caucasus. And I hope and I wish that our efforts and our struggles will eventually liberate Caucasus. And Nagai people have tried to resist as much as they could in whatever capabilities they were available to them historically. And I'd like to thank Akhmed Akhmadov and the Chechen resistance happening right now, also all the Dagestani brothers and our Circassian brothers who have not stopped the struggle of our mutual independence and freedom from the Russian Empire. Chamil, if I've left anything, please do add.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Barakallah fikum. So now we have finished the first part of our program. So if there are other brothers here with us here in our broadcast who wish to express present themselves, or express their opinion as guests, we can give them the word, and they can do it in English or in Russian.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulullah. I would like to just make a reminder. And as we all know, we are a very religiously oriented and aligned nations on Northern Caucasus, and I would like to maybe remind the importance of preserving the national identity and heritage and language. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha, we have created you from a man and a woman, وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا, and we have turned you into nations and tribes, لِتَعَارَفُوا, so that you may know each other, recognize each other, so that you may have an identity, to be able to differentiate between each other. And also in other parts of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافُ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ, and among the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the creations of the heavens and the earth, and the diversity of your languages and your colors of your skin. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِلْعَالِمِينَ, and indeed in that is the signs for those who comprehend and understand. So, and obviously there are many more sacred texts around this theme and topic, but the emphasis that I would like to put on is that this initiative and anyone who takes part in it may well realize that it's a virtuous endeavor, and if with the right intention, you could be seeking reward in this, because the preservance of nations and languages and diversity is a virtuous thing. It is something that God Himself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has designed for us and has placed on this earth. And to give you an example, as the scholars say, بِالْمِثَالِ يَتَّضِحُ الْمَقَالِ, is that with an example, the topics and the concepts are better understood. One of my Albanian friends once, who had twin daughters, told me once that I was looking at my daughters and contemplating how amazing that two human beings could be exactly the same, alike. And all of a sudden it struck me that imagine if all the women folk on the face of this earth would be of the same kind of physical appearance, and the men would be as well. How how strange would be the world would be. First of all, it would be very problematic that, you know, people would mistakenly accuse or miss their loved ones, or, you know, or accuse people of crime and stuff. And also how boring the life would be without the diversity and without this, you know, spectrum of different cultures, different outlooks, different tastes, and cuisines and languages. So I came to a realization that this diversity is actually a blessing. It's a blessing from God that we have, and we have actually a religious duty to preserve that. And I would end with the quote that was given as an answer by the martyred president of Chechnya, Youghar Dudayev, when he was asked once by one of the, I think, Eastern European journalists, is it possible at all that Chechnya could be part of Russia? And why is it that, I mean, you're not entertaining the idea of being part of Russia? He said that it is as if you're asking us to enter into a cage with the wild bear. Would you do that yourselves? And it was really an eloquent answer, because at the face value of that was, it was a physical adversity and, you know, exposure to physical harm. Like if a human being would place himself, you know, in the close proximity with the predator and a vicious animal, obviously that would be a dangerous thing to do. But this was on the face value of it, physical adversity. But if you look deeper into that, a human being that would be caged into to be in the space with a wild animal would lose his humanity. He would not be able to live as a human being. So likewise, nowadays we are losing our identity and our humanity. And if we go to UNESCO list of endangered languages, you would struggle to find a language from the North of Caucasus that is not endangered. You know, all of those languages that we have are there listed: Chechen, Ingush, Cherkess, Kabardin, Balkari. All these languages are listed there. They're endangered languages. And even if we wouldn't go into the political kind of a realm in our dispute with Russia, just this fact alone that all these languages are endangered, data speaks for itself. Russia would be in a position to answer how come that they did not preserve and they did not manage to appreciate and to save those languages and, you know, put them in danger. So anyway, I finish with that. Thank you for listening, and I commend everyone who's involved in these projects, and God bless you and may God reward you for that. Assalamu alaikum wa jazakumullah khairan.
Благодарю за выступление. Thank you very much for your speech, Abu Muhammad. So now we will continue, and the second point of our program is to explain, to present our committee work. There are many questions, many points that people don't understand. In particular, the people ask why we are talking about the Mountain Republic. Many people, in particular Cherkessians and others, criticize this mention of Mountain Republic. They say that in the Mountain Republic, the territories of Cherkessians, they are not included. So it is unjustly and unfair to talk about this project, to talk about this state, about this confederation. They also say that the Mountain Republic didn't manage to achieve result and to become independent. Also, people have many questions and many critics about the status, the juridical status of our delegates, the delegates that compose the committee. For example, Akhmed Akhmadov, who is from Dagestan, or me, who is from Ingushetia, or Iyad or Adel or others, why they represent the people. How can they represent the people? They were not elected, they were not appointed as delegates of all people. So all these questions, what can we answer? What can we explain to the public, so they understand, and so they don't think that we are making something unfair, something unrightful. So I give the word to our chairman, Iyad Youghar. What could you say about all these critics and about all these questions? What can you say about the function and the goals and the juridical status of our committee that we created in on the conference in European Parliament? I just want to translate, and then you will have the word. Thank you, Iyad.
Thank you, Chamil. In principle, let's start with the basics, the important things first, the logical things. If logic says that if you, as a group of people, group of nation, a group of communities, you have the same enemy, and that enemy committed the same crime against each and every group, this group of people or this group of nations, at the same time, in the same method, in the same place, led the same war, put on them the same tragedies that they all suffered from, then the duty and responsibility as a human beings and as a group of the human family of nations to unite against that enemy. And this is the principle of the thinking of the North Caucasus people as we talk about unity. Now, if we don't unite against this one enemy whose objective is the same against each and every one of us, and against every nation and all of us collectively, then our ability to succeed in defending ourselves would be very limited and will eventually fail. Unity in the North Caucasus has experienced 3 stages. The first one during Imam Chamil's struggle to unite the Eastern Front and the Western Front. Russians got involved and they separated the Eastern Front and the Western Front, and Chamil eventually lost the war, and then 7 years later, 5 years later, Circassians also lost the war on the Western North Caucasus in Western Circassia. If Chamil was able to unite the Western Front and the Eastern Front, Russia would have never been able, historically, to conquer the North Caucasus and enslave the nations of the North Caucasus. So this is one lesson we need to learn from, that this unity of the Northern and Eastern Front is the main reason why Russia was able to conquer and occupy nations of the North Caucasus, and we lost our freedom and independence. The second attempt happened during the so-called Mountain Republic. People came with the theory that we have one enemy, we have one purpose, we have one goal, and we need to, we need to be united in one entity. And at the time, they called it the Mountain Republic. The Mountain Republic failed for many reasons, but it was not because of the reasons that has anything to do with the sincerity of people or with the bad intentions of the people who wanted to be united. It's because of Russia playing both ends against the middle, separating people, dividing people in order to divide and rule, and the Mountain Republic was not able to accomplish the honorable objectives that needed to have at the time. So we learned from that lesson that once you are calling for unity, your enemy, that is the enemy of all those nations, is going to play all the games they want in order to disunite the people, so they will not be achieving their objective. The third attempt is today, what we are trying to do in the North Caucasus. We are trying, first of all, to learn from the experience of Imam Chamil and the war in the North Caucasus and the reason why we lost the war, and be united. The second one is the lesson we learned from the Mountain Republic, why it failed. Why did the Mountain Republic fail? The third one is our attempt today that should be built on understanding the past and the history and modifying our objectives and modifying the way we achieve our objectives, so to the extent that we are not going to fail in building the so-called unity. Without this unity, no nation in the Caucasus today, neither the Dagestan, the Chechen, the Ingush, or the Circassians, will be able to achieve tangible results in independence, in freedom, and in achieving the goals we all believe in. Now, there are a lot of people who make our effort today look negative, and they question that. And I could tell you with the greatest sense of assuredness and certainty, the ones who are doing this are the ones who are used by Russia in order to divide our effort together. So we do not need to listen to them. We do not need to really ask questions. Why is it this? Why is it that? Or whatever it is. We are a group of people. We are not elected by people, nor that you can run an election among Circassians, Chechens, or Gishitians, or Dagestanis today as who is going to lead a movement of unity among the Caucasus nations. What happens usually in history, a group of people believe in an idea, and they sincerely and deeply believe in that idea, and they present that idea to their own people, and whoever support that idea would join the effort, and the groups become larger and larger until it achieves, by its strength of unity and by the number of the people joining that movement, they can achieve their objectives. So there is no election here. We are not elected by people to do what we believe in. Our unity, our desire to present our ideas as North Caucasus people, whether that's the Circassians, the Chechen, the Ingush, or the Dagestanis, is we as individuals, all of us believe in this, and we are united in this belief. And whoever would like to come and join whatever we are doing, then they are welcome to do it. And then we are representing that group of people. So we're not running into elections here in the North Caucasus or in diaspora to find out who is the best person to serve this, nor that this is possible. We do what is possible for us to do, and that is to believe in an idea, to present it to our people, and whoever has got the honor, has got the freedom-loving element in their characters, who got the really decency of, as a human being, to join in an objective to achieve the future of the North Caucasus and its nations, they are more than welcome to join us. If they choose to find a different way, different than what we're doing right now in many different ways, and they want to achieve their own objectives, they are more than welcome to do whatever they want to do. But the fact is, for the past 157 years, no one among Circassians came in and opposed Russia and talked about the Circassian genocide and explore and explain to the world that there's a tragedy, and because of this tragedy, Circassian rights and into the future would have to be recognized. If anyone is willing to do this, if anyone wants to repatriate Circassians to the North Caucasus without upsetting Russia and the policies of Russia, if they are able to do it, by all means, go ahead and do it. But the fact is, it's only talk and no actions. And when they see a group of people unite together and the Parliament of Europe pursuing the objectives that we all like to see as reality in the future, their objection here is only serving the Russian purposes of disuniting the Caucasus people into achieving their freedom and their liberty from the oppression of the Russians. This is to make it clear that we're not representing anyone except ourselves and the people who believe in what we believe in. And once that group becomes larger, it will achieve its objective and it will become the successful team of North Caucasus people that we want to seek unity, independence for each and every nation of the North Caucasus, Circassia, Chechnya, Ingushetia, and Dagestan. And all united thereafter in an effort not only to keep those nations independent and free, but also to find a level of unity, whether it's the Mountain Republic or any other mechanism we could find, so Russians will not be able to penetrate the North Caucasus again. This is the objective, this is the community, This is the mission we are leading, and this is what we are about to start doing on a very, very high level basis. Why is this important for us right now? Because Russia was assumed, was pictured as the superpower of the world, and no one can defeat Russia, and no one can stand against Russia. And 90% of Circassians believe, do not upset Russia, do not anger Russia. But here we believe, as Circassians, there is a right and wrong, and there is a lost freedom and independence for us, and no one is talking about this. Now, with the situation of Ukraine defeating Russia in many different ways, and is being able to confront Russia as a superpower, now we see the chance that not only that Ukraine will succeed and become victorious, but also other nations of the world, as Circassians, Chechens, Ingushetians, and Dagestan also have the opportunity to do this. If we are united, and if we are somehow coordinating our efforts with other nations of the world who would like to see small nations of the world gain their freedom, independence, and they become part of the family of nations of the world. So, to recap on this, the importance of the so-called North Caucasus unity of the nations today is not the title, really, is not really the historical side of it, is really not all these other things that we attempted to do in the past historically and failed. It's the lesson that we learned from those failures and the objectives we have today and the way we do it. And the only way to do it is unity. Unity that can lead to freedom, independence for each and every nation of the North Caucasus, and then collectively for the entire North Caucasus, in good relation also with the South Caucasus, especially with the nation of Georgia. And remember, it's the nation of Georgia was the first nation in the world to recognize the Circassian genocide and the Circassian tragedy. Now, had it not been done by Georgia, had we not achieved the recognition of the Circassian genocide by Georgia, we would not have been able to put the Circassian question on the world stage for people to understand our tragedy. Our tragedy is important for us, not only because it happened, but because it's continuing. We want to stop it, and we want to reverse the effect of the genocide and the forced deportation of Circassians, to bring as many of them back to the North Caucasus, to put together our population back together, to regain the momentum in our land in order to maintain, and continue into a free and independent nation of the world, just like any other nation in Europe. And one of our colleagues in a conference we held we participated in Brussels in the parliament said that the continent of Europe cannot be completed unless the North Caucasus is independent, because the North Caucasus is the east wing of Europe. And we are defender of the east wing. We have fought Russia for more than 100 years. Small nations, each by its own, without unity, we were able to fend off Russia for 100 years. If that unity is given to us today, if that ability to fight Russia of today on every stage of a struggle and fight, then we are the protector of the eastern flank of Europe, and then Europe will be completed. And this is what we are leading here by participating in European Parliament, in American politics as much as possible. But among us, the most important thing, and I remind everyone, we have one enemy, and we are few nations. We need to unite all those nations in order to face that one enemy. And if we don't have that unity, it's going to be very difficult for Circassians, Chechens, Ingush, and Dagestanis to gain freedom and maintain that freedom. And I thank you, Chamil, for the opportunity to talk.
Thank you very much, Iyad. I will try to summarize your speech. I noted some points of your speech, so I will try to be as exactly as possible. The next, I try to translate. I think I summarized the speech, Iyad. Now we give the word to our Vice Chairman, Adel Baqshawi. I hope that you remember the question. So if you can answer.
Okay. First, I would like to say that even though the Mountain Republic was a phenomena in the past, and it wasn't that excellently done and taken as good example, but the important thing is what is going to happen. That it's a symbol. Unity is a good symbol whenever it happens, wherever it happens, especially between the nations of the Caucasus. So as a result of the conference that was held in the European Parliament on the 8th of November, the nations of the North Caucasus who were available there, or their representatives were there, have formed this committee for the restoration of the statehood of the North Caucasus, or the nations of the North Caucasus. I would like to stress in here, please, for the future, that if people start saying this in a different way, it might take different turns. Like it is the nations of the Caucasus, not the peoples of the Caucasus. And assistants are mentioned by Brother Chamil. So that committee was established to have a regular meeting to develop or a framework to establish our independent nations, which will lead eventually to have a kind of federation or confederation between all the nations of the Caucasus, hopefully. And I just would like to say that the committee is established from the people who are ready to work or like to work. Anybody else, even if these people who are saying the wrong things due to different reasons, I would not elaborate on what their reasons are. They can work. Nobody is restricted from working or doing his best for the good and the future of the North Caucasus, and even for their individual nations. So the restoration of statehood is important for of these nations. So statehood is a condition of being a state. In the case of the North Caucasus, the nations are Circassia, Chechnya, Dagestan, Ingushetia, etc. And just to go through the brief abbreviation of certain titles, like people, the people is a body of human beings considered generally or collectively a group of two or more persons. But the nation is a historically constituted, stable community of people formed on the basis of common language, territory, economic life, ethnicity, and or psychological make manifested in a common culture. It's important thing now to say that in order to restore the legitimacy, realities cannot be refuted or denied. Like these nations had been there for thousands of years, whether Russia or other great powers tried to take over the area and destroy these nations. These people or these nations and the peoples of these nations are entitled to have their own way of life, their own destiny, their own legitimate rights of self-determination, freedom, and independence. So in the case of the Circassian question, let's say, as an example, it cannot be resolved without addressing its main themes, which must form the main pillar of the future that include freedom, independence for this individual nation, which will go also to other nations also to have their own independence in order to form a kind of federation or confederation. And in my personal opinion, this should be applied to all the nations alike in accordance with restoring the international legal and legitimate rights. When all nations obtain their freedom and independence, they will seek, or they will be able to seek, a consent to their political future. And I suggest also to have subcommittees later on to be formed to continue our work. Of course, this is only a kind of giving an idea about what has happened and what are future steps to be taken. The subcommittees will be formed for individual nations to seek the help of experts. It's very important to seek the help of experts in Europe and other countries who are friendly with our peoples and nations in order to help on the way that we can restore the right legitimate or legal way to work for the future steps in order to restate our nations. So to seek this help, maybe the Circassians, the Chechens, and others who have already discussed this before, but they have to be more serious now. And especially that when the European Union will be able to help in this case to have kind of guidance and could be a framework and plan to follow and to, I wouldn't say educate, just to distribute the idea for our people to find out who is ready to work for these committees and for these subgroups. So that will form the self-determination and independence. according to relevant legal and international law. This is a brief idea of why this committee has been formed and what are expected future steps to be taken.
Thank you very much. You have answered my main questions, Adel. So I will try to translate now.
Постараюсь. Okay, so ever since the conference that took place in Brussels, and after I participated in it, there's been a lot of criticisms and comments about me and about who gave me the permission to participate there, and whether I was not, and whether or not I was there on my own accord, or there was actually someone who stood behind me and allowed me to speak there on their behalf as well. I don't usually listen to any of these comments and criticisms that are done online, but now there's been too many so-called there's been too many people speaking out openly about it over the internet, and I want to address that first before I move on to my next point. And the main thing is, first time when I met Ahmed Zakaev, that was at a conference in Ukraine, which was about the involvement of the Caucasians fighting on the side of Ukraine against Russians, and the main point of that conference was basically to try to improve their situation within Ukraine, whether it is getting them citizenships or whatever other social problems they might be facing there, and try to somehow improve their lives and their struggles there. When I took place in that first conference in Ukraine with Ahmed Zakaev, he gave me a chance to, and he invited me along, as well as any other Caucasians who are from Ukraine and who wanted to take part and to use that platform to speak out about the problems that our people are facing there. Unfortunately, not many people took part in this. However, I did, and ever since I had done that, I've been involved and been working with Ahmed Zakaev and their team on all the problems and all the issues that our Caucasian people have in general, and trying to use all these platforms to speak out and to tell the whole world of the issues we're facing. And unfortunately, all these critics, they speak, but they don't take any actions. And I did not see anyone of those who are criticizing me alongside with me in Brussels. If there was at least 10 Dagestanis with me in Brussels when I was giving my speech there, I would have been the happiest person in that place. However, that wasn't the case. And it wasn't because people weren't invited or weren't given the opportunity to come, because I know for a fact it was, and it still is, and I'm still open to anyone who wants to get involved on any level. Please do contact me, and we'll be more than happy to work together, because our goal is one. So the next thing was
И про участие в военных структурах Украины.
Yes, so I've been actually, that's going back to the first part. One of the things he mentioned was the fact that he's joined the resistance, and he's joined the defending forces of Ukraine from the beginning of the war. He's been involved in many operations in very hot spots, and many of the people, many of the comrades from Dagestan that has been involved in these operations were the ones who gave me the permission to speak on their behalf, and I'd be happy to do that, and I'm never going to stop doing so, because our goal, it's not about some personal agendas or personal gains that we're trying to achieve here. It's about our our cause in general, which is to free our homelands and to make sure that our people who've been suffering under the Russian oppression for centuries now, that they can finally get the freedom that they deserve. Chamil, please remind me if I missed anything.
I think that you have summarized his speech very well. Thank you.
Sorry, Chamil. Yes, one important thing was
Yes.
ever since the conflict in Palestine and Israel has started, many of our people have been criticizing us, and by us I mean those who are fighting alongside the Ukrainians in Ukraine, trying to portray it as if we shouldn't be there and we should go to Palestine, trying to help them there. However, at the moment, the only country who's openly fighting and resisting Russian oppression and Russian aggression is Ukraine, and it is our duty to make sure that with the help of the Ukrainians, we can achieve our own goals. This is the fact that we get criticized because of some political statements that Ukrainian politicians, like Zelensky, for example, that they make in support of Israel. First of all, we do not expect Ukraine to understand that Muslim Ummah is like one body. So whenever one part hurts, the whole body hurts. They cannot understand these things, and we don't expect them to understand these things. However, in our hearts and in our minds, we've always supported Palestinian cause, and we always will support them. However, the priority for us is to free our homelands, the ones that are being occupied by the Russian Empire, and to do so, we have to help the Ukrainian forces to defeat Russia in Ukraine. I think that's about it.
Thank you very much, Nof. So the next speaker is Rizvan, is our guest, Rizvan Kubakaev. If you want to say something about your vision, about your appreciation of committee, of the work of the committee, of the project of our committee, please, you have the word.
Okay, I would like to start by thanking for the opportunity to speak here. First, I would like to start with the fact that the aggression that Russia has done towards Ukraine, and specifically in Donbass and Crimea, all of these crimes that they're committing, they're trying to do this using the hands of our Caucasian brothers. Russia is trying to kill our people, but this time they're doing it not themselves directly, but they're using the Ukrainians to do so. The hybrid wars that Russia is doing in terms of the propaganda and that they use to brainwash our people, and something has to be to stop it, because Russian special services use these tools to control the region, to control our people. For a very long time now, the level of development has been next to zero, pretty much, in terms of the social, political developments within those regions. There is no further time to wait, and the actions, we must take some actions to stop the propaganda machines that the Russians use to control our people and to use them to achieve their goals, whether it's taking territories or open aggression against sovereign countries like Ukraine. At the moment, Ukraine is the one that is openly fighting against Russia, and they're the ones that we need to try to help to and use the opportunities that they provide for us to achieve our own goals, which is obviously to free our homelands. eventually the Russian regime will fall, and when that does happen, so the regimes like Kadyrov's and any other ones in the region, they will be replaced, and they will be changed by the people of those regions, basically. And the things that we need to focus on is, once we do achieve that, the things we need to focus on is we, as the citizens of North Caucasus, we can have a common language to use to communicate with each other. However, every nation needs to and has to take control of our own languages, and everything has to be done so that the languages are not lost.
So I thank you very much for the translation. So I propose now the following point. We let 15 minutes to questions to our speakers. So if somebody want to ask something to our speakers, they have the following 15 minutes to do it, and then after we will liberate our speakers.
Во-первых, я хотел бы поприветствовать Ияда и Аделя. Приятно чувствовать и слушать, знать, что на каком-то дальнем уголке существуют еще такие люди, которые беспокоятся о своей родине и которые мечтают освободить его от коварной Российской империи, скажем так.
This is our one of our guests. His nickname is Goritz. So he would like to welcome you, Iyad Youghar and Adel, and he thanks you for participating in this broadcast. And he is very glad to know that in the 4 countries like USA and Jordan, there are people like you who are thinking about our homeland and thinking about liberation of our homeland and about the interest of our people. So he is living in the North Caucasus. He is Chechen, and he considers you like our brothers in spirit. Maybe you are not born in the North Caucasus, but we know that by spirit and by your heart, you are Cherkessian, and you are you are with our people, and you are for you will do everything for the interest of the Cherkessi. So he is very glad that you have formed this committee, and with the hope to mobilize the maximum of our compatriots everywhere in diaspora and in the homeland. And the first recommendation about the committee that he has is to include all the representatives of all the people of the North Caucasus in that committee. So unfortunately, we see that with the actual Russian Federation, it is very difficult to obtain independence for the North Caucasus and create a confederation of North Caucasus nations, because we see that even being independent, even being free, the Ukrainian state was attacked by the Russian Federation, and they are not capable to prevent. They were not capable to prevent this aggression. So our situation is more dangerous, and we have not the force and the support that Ukraine has. So it is very, very difficult for us in the actual situation, in the situation that is today, to create independent states and Confederation of People. He says that we had the hope that the Russian opposition will make something for us, but even the persons who were for the independent states of North Caucasus, even they changed their minds and don't really support our struggle for independence. So he repeats that we have at this moment we have not a real chance to become independent and liberate ourselves from Russia.
Это говорит о том, что... Ну, а в целом... Да, давай.
So he says that looking at the situation, we understand that only we ourselves can do something. Only our proper efforts and our work can be useful for us. So he recommends, and this is the second recommendation that he makes, that all the representatives, that the representatives of the people of the Caucasus in your committee address each his nations, his people, to try to motivate them to struggle for the independence, so that in the nations of the Caucasus, in each nation of the Caucasus, there will be a movement for the liberation. He recommends also to formulate a demand to the Russian opposition from every nation of the North Caucasus to obtain independence, to ask them that they guarantee, if they come to power, that they guarantee the independence of the people, and at the same time he recommends the people of the North Caucasus to join the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria, and together with Ichkeria obtain the independent status of their states. But he fears that the Russian opposition will give the people of the North Caucasus 1 year to decide if they want to stay with Russia or if they want to be independent. And during this year, we will mobilize all their resources to make propaganda and to spread among the people of the Caucasus the idea that they can't be without Russia. He says that joining Ichkeria for the people of the North Caucasus is in the first time firstly it will signify that the people of the Caucasus recognize the independence of Ichkeria, and then it would be a chance for these republics, for these nations, to become independent, and then we can decide if we make a one state on the North Caucasus, one united state, or a confederation of independent nations. So that are his recommendations. Iyad or Adel, you have the word.
Chamil, I just want to say a few things here. It's important to know, first of all, people who live in the North Caucasus, whether it's Circassian, Chechen, Ingush, or Dagestan, they have a certain view of Russia, and that view usually is created by the oppression of Russia's media, minds, and thinking of people. We in this committee, we have decided, and we will develop the idea of independent nations of the Caucasus, whether Russia likes it or not, whether the opposition of Russia stand with us or not. I personally have very little confidence in what the Russians want to do in the future of the Caucasus, and I see that they really should have no say in what the Caucasus is going to be in the future in the North Caucasus. Whether that's the present Russian government or the opposition government or whoever they are. In the past, we had listened and we have accepted many deals with the Russians, and none of it came through. So it is what is driving us today. It's our intentions as Circassian, Chechen, Ingush, and Dagestani in having our own countries, our own nations, independent and free of control of any nation in the world, primarily Russia. That's the basic way we are thinking right now. Do we have trust in Russian promises and future and what they want for us? We know that they don't want for us anything except take our country and enslave our people. This has been the history, and these lessons of history we must learn, and we must follow in a way that can protect us from
Yeah,
lessons. That's point number one. This committee has been formed among the Chechens, the Dagestan, the Circassians, and the Ingush. If any other group or nation in the Caucasus, whether that's the Qarashais, the Ossetians, the Balkar, the Abkhazians, the Abazas, or any of them, they find it the right thing to join our committee and to join our effort, of course, as we mentioned in the Brussels conference, the door is open to any of them to join the group with us and to participate with us in one aspect only, that is the freedom of the North Caucasus and all its nations, separately and collectively. Anyone, in my opinion, anyone who says that they're, whether it's a Circassian, Chechen, Ingush, or Dagestani, says our best interest is to stay with Russia, they really need to read history. They really need to look at what happened for us in the past 157, 158 years. We have lost most of our population. Our people are in diaspora. Our language is threatened. Russia creates programs to erase nationalities in the North Caucasus. So any person in the North Caucasus today of any of the nationalities that I have mentioned before think that our best interest is to remain as part of Russia. I could tell you there, in my opinion, in my definition, there is only one description for those people. These are Russian slaves. And slavery is what the Russia tried to maintain over us right now. So those people who think that they should be part of Russia and Russia's interest is their interest and they are Russian citizens and things like this, this is completely not acceptable to this committee. I could tell you this. And I congratulate you and I thank you very much for the recommendations you mentioned and the things that you are explaining that should be done in the work of this committee. This committee will work in a way that is calculated, that is thoughtful, that is educated, and that is effective. And we will use the mistakes of the past to prevent any mistakes from happening in the future. Peaceful, positive, and unified way of doing things is the intention of this committee. Now, some people in the North Caucasus say, is it possible to have independence? Well, I could tell you, if it's possible for Estonia and Lithuania and Ukraine and Armenia and Azerbaijan and all these nations to have independence, then it is possible for Chechen, Circassian, Ingush, and Dagestani to have independence. We are no less than them. We are bigger in, I mean, if you collect the nations of the Caucasus today between Circassian, Chechen, Ingush, and Dagestanis, we are more than 6-7 million people between diaspora, reaching almost 10 million people between diaspora and the North Caucasus people who still live in motherland. So we do have more strength, much more strength than we think we have. The only problem with the strength is not unified and it's not organized. Once it's unified and organized, then independence of nations of the Caucasus will be more possible and will be more doable. And we have to take a look at the experience of the Estonians, the Lithuanians, the Ukrainians, and other nations of the world who were under the control of Russia, and then now they are independent and free. And I hope that answers some of the points that you made. One quick second. Sorry, Adel. I could tell my friend here, Gortz, who explained things. I could think today of two personalities, two people in history would be very, very happy to see what we're doing today. And that number one is Imam Chamil. If Imam Chamil in his days, he saw that we are in the European Parliament talking about the North Caucasus and unifying forces, that would have been probably the happiest day in his life. And the second one that I could think of that would be very happy to see what we're doing today, and that is President Youghar when he was struggling against the Russians and fighting endlessly in order to make his country independent. And I could tell you both of them would be very, very happy today to see someone like Akhmed Akhmadov in Europe opening the doors and making things possible and trying to unify the people and trying to gain independence for his own people and other nations of the Caucasus. Just a quick comment I wanted to make in respect of history and these two heroic personalities in our history. Thank you.
Now we give the word to Adel. Adel, تفضل.
Just a short comment. I'm pleased to see a brother from the North Caucasus who's Chechen. He appreciates what this committee is doing, and I assure him that our common goals are going to be giving a brighter future for the whole North Caucasus. Thank you.
Да, меня Булат зовут. Я с Кабардино-Балкарии. Фокус группа Псоми Физох. Я парал. Ассаляму алейкум ва рахматуллахи всем присутствующим.
So I will translate. This is our brother Bulat. He is from Kabardino-Balkaria in North Caucasus. He's in the homeland, and he says that everybody knows about the liberation movement of Circassians that was created in the 90s, and everybody knows the popular persons of this movement. And he would ask a question that is interesting. Many people of the younger generation of Circassians in the homeland.
Да, вот уважаемый Ияд упомянул вот в сегодняшнем эфире о том, что с 70-х годов он активно участвовал в черкесском и кавказском движении. Ну и мы впервые тоже о нем слышали тогда, когда был при правительством Грузии признан геноцид черкесского народа.
So, dear Iyad, we heard you talking about your participation in the liberation movement created in the 70s in USA, and we here in the homeland heard about you when the recognition of the Circassian genocide was recognized, was realized by the Georgian parliament. I think that it is because Iyad is reserved, and because of shyness of Iyad, he didn't talk about his big achievements in defending the interests of Circassian people. Unfortunately, the Circassians are separated by distance, by frontiers, and we not always know about the activity and about the application of our compatriots in the Circassian cause.
В связи с чем я прошу Ияда и, возможно, других черкесов, которые сегодня являются членами этой организации, как бы как-то отдельно рассказать или опубликовать о своих достижениях 70-х годов, чтобы как бы для нас быть примером нам, молодым и неравнодушным людям.
So would you like make he asks you to make a video or a publication about your activities from the 70s and about the achievements that you have achieved, about the results that you have achieved in your activity for the interests of the Circassian people.
Чтобы быть для нас, молодых неравнодушных людей, примером.
So we, the young generation, could have an example and a model in the political activity, in the social activity, in the defense of the Circassian cause.
Спасибо большое. Спасибо, Джазаки Аллах.
Thank you. Bulat, right?
Yes, Bulat.
Yes.
Yeah, Sikush Bulat. I am Hatukai and my mother is Kabardian. In the Circassian traditions, people don't talk about themselves. They act and they do things other people see, they like, and they talk about it. And I like to tell you that I personally worked with Adel and other people, and the title we like to have all the time, not a leader, not a strategist, not a politician. The only title I want to have on my name is one word, and that is the word Circassian only, if you want to translate. Second, Bulat, we need the younger generation to learn and to advance the Circassian cause and work for our nation, whether that nation is in diaspora or in motherland. And we want them to get together, and we want them to become one nation together. The heart of our nation is in Circassia, and the wings of our nation are in diaspora. And there is one strategy for every single Circassian I know in the world today. And that strategy is only one word, and that word is Circassia. If we have it, we have everything. If we don't have it, we don't have anything. So young people, older people, anyone who believes in the existence of Circassia, then they must do their work. They must follow whatever they can do, whether inside or outside motherland, to reach the goal of having Circassia, restoring Circassia as our nation. They need to look at the work has been done. They need to invent work of their own. They need to follow their hearts and their minds to achieve that one word strategy that we have as Adigas all over the world, and that is the word Circassia. And just remember, if we have it, we have everything, and if we don't have it, we don't have anything. And the heart and soul of our movement is in Circassia, and the wings is in the Circassian diaspora on the outside. Thank you.
So, Adel, do you want to add something to the question?
No, Iyad at all.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chamil. Let's just be positive, be practical, learn from our historical mistakes and build a future without mistakes. And may Allah help us achieve all the objectives we want for all our people in the North Caucasus, Chechens, Dagestan, Circassians, and Ingush, and others too.
I thank you very much for your participation in this first broadcast. It is our first experience, but I think that it was very successful for the first time, and it was very interesting to hear your explanations, your answers, and very interesting to hear the questions and the recommendations. Just before you leave, we have an important activist, an historic, someone who knows well the history, and he is very active in the social media. Our brother Muslim, he wants to talk. He wants to have the word. I let him talk, and then I will translate. Muslim, visst håller oss alla bitkar för lite nyanas представить виновно.
Ассаламу алейкум ва рахматуллахи ва баракату. Я тогда буду говорить по-русски, да, Шамиль, чтобы ты переводил, и чтобы здесь и другие братья понимали.
So he greets you. Assalamu alaikum. He thanks you very much for your participation in this broadcast, and he thanks also all the other participants, Rizvan, Ahmad, and Bulat, the young man who talked a minute earlier. So he's very glad to hear you. Okay. He says that unfortunately Akhmed Akhmadov from Dagestan left us. He has some recommendations, some remarks about Dagestan. Dagestan is there were many talks among Dagestanis, and he participated in these talks. Muslim himself is Chechen, but he participated also in the discussions in the discussions among the Dagestanis, and he said that they have a very big responsibility on them, the Dagestani brothers, because Dagestan is as a mini Caucasus. In Dagestan, there are many people. If they manage to unite, then this will be a sign that all the Caucasus will be united. This is his first remark. He says that if Dagestan unites, and if they manage to make a confederation with Chechnya and Ingushetia, this will be also a helping point, a helping basis to reestablish the Nogai statehood, the Nogai state. But he thinks, in his opinion, there is a problem with the western North Caucasus, with the western part of the North Caucasus, the Cherkessia.
Почему я так говорю? Потому что
he says he explains why he is saying that. In at this moment, actually, in the North Caucasus, in the western republics of the North Caucasus, only 1 million of the origin people live in their homeland. 1 million of Kabardin people, Cherkess people, and only 1 million live in their homeland. So the first point is that in the 18th century, beginning in the 18th century, the Russian Empire has committed genocide of Nogai people and Cherkess people, and by consequent, many people of this, many Cherkess emigrated, and now the reality is that in the homeland there are only 1 million Cherkess people living in the homeland, on the territories of Cherkessia, and 8 million
Шамиль,
of
и
Russian.
карачаевцев, и балкарцев, и шаш адыгшам цыгаца, 600 тысяч боеватцев. Это с учетом карачаевцев, балкарцев, то есть всех вот этих кавказских народов в этих двух республиках.
Even if we take the Karachay and Balkar populations together with the Cherkess population that is in homeland, there is in total 1 million population in the republics, in the homeland, in Karachay, Balkar, and in Kabardino-Balkaria, and in Карачаево-Черкесия. And the other
Скажи
lands
сразу
of
пример,
Cherkess.
что на Восточном Кавказе нас 5 миллионов. Дагестан, Чечня, Ингушетия — это 5 миллионов.
Так, дай мне сконцентрироваться. Значит, so, in the Eastern Caucasus, in North Caucasus, in Ingushetia, Chechnya, and Dagestan, there is a population of 5 million people in total. More than 5 million. In the Western North Caucasus, on the lands of Cherkessians, there are only 1 million people of Cherkess, Balkar, and Karachay. The other population is Russian, Armenian, and other people. There are almost 8 million. So the repartition of the population in the western part of the North Caucasus is 1 to 8. So do you realize that this is a very serious problem? Without the population of Cherkessians in Cherkessia, it will be very difficult to restore the historical justice, the territories of the Cherkessia, which include Krasnodar and Sochi and other big cities where mostly live Russians, Armenians, and not the Cherkessians. Do you realize that this problem exists, and what are done to make it possible for Cherkessian Muhajirin to repatriate, to return to the homeland? Because this is the essential thing that we need to liberate the Cherkessia. Так, я думаю, все сказал.
Скажи, что во время Горской республики это и была самой главной проблемой, что когда Кубанская республика и казаки образовали свои государства, и поэтому на картах эта Горская республика заканчивается в Кабардино-Балкарии. Именно проблема с демографией была. Мало населения. Она сегодня может повториться.
It was already the problem of the Mountain Republic. Because when the Mountain Republic was formed, the Cossack population formed their own republic, the Koban Republic, and the Cherkessians were represented only in Kabardino-Balkaria. The other territories were not included in the Mountain Republic because there was this problem of population. So, Iyad, Adel, what can you answer?
Вот вопрос ты им задал, да? Что они понимают эту проблему, и что они с этим собираются делать?
Да. So you have the word, Iyad.
It's the question. Muslims' question is, do we understand this problem? And the answer, in summary, is yes, we do understand the problem. Just tell him that, please, and I'm going to explain.
Да. Конечно же, мы осознаем, что эта проблема есть. Это первая часть ответа.
Yeah. Let's just get the basics. Number one, Muslim calls them muhajir. Muhajir in Arabic is the one who had decided to leave on his own. And the proper word for this is muhajir. Muhajir is the one who is forced to leave. Circassians were forced to leave. That's a definition. The Circassian nation, when we speak of Circassians and Circassia, we are speaking of the Circassian nation. The Circassian nation is 1 million in motherland and about 5 to 6 million in diaspora. The diaspora, or like I told my brother Bulat before, the Circassian nation, the heart is in the Caucasus and the wings are in the diaspora. Unifying the Circassian people in cause and in purpose for the realization, the existence of Circassia is more than possible. We have done this, had been done in history for many nations in the world. And if you want to translate that, Chamil, I'll continue. The international law in the United Nations and other humanitarian organizations throughout the world, the international law itself among the all freedom-loving nation recognize one thing that is called the right of return. And that right of return permits anyone who left his motherland, whether by choice or by force, to return to his motherland and become part of his nation again. 5 million Circassians today live in Turkey, and many of them attached to their nation, to their nationality, to their understanding. They are member of their organizations, and those 5 million Circassians are only 2 hours away flight from Circassia. And the repatriation of Circassians from Turkey or different parts of the world from Turkey can be done in the so-called international positive repatriation programs. If these repatriation programs, guarded by the international community, give Circassians the right to return to their motherland, at the same time maintain roots and maintain existence in the host countries where they live right now, then the majority of Circassian in diaspora would choose to repatriate and have existence in the North Caucasus in Circassia on some type of a level of having citizenship, passport, or some type of existence in the North Caucasus. In our estimate, more than 30 to 40% of Circassian in diaspora will return. Now, if we are able to repatriate 40% of diaspora and bring the population of Circassia and the North Caucasus for about 2 to 0.5 million people, then yes, that would guarantee the creation of a nation. And today, as we speak, Circassians, between diaspora and motherland Circassians, about 5 to 6 million people, they are the largest nation of the Caucasus in the north and in the south. Now, as far as the other nations and the other ethnic group who lived in the Caucasus, including the Russians, if there is a nation for Circassians in Circassia and restoration of Circassia in the future, the human rights for all these people will be guaranteed, will be guarded as much as the right of Circassians to be there. The last question is this something easy to do? The answer is no, it's very difficult. But the more important question, is it possible? And the answer is yes, it is possible.
Adel, do you want to add something to this answer about repatriation?
No, thank you.
So he says we observe in the history that 100 years ago there was a window which lasted 3 years for the Circassians to make it possible to repatriate to the homeland and to create a state. And 70 years later, in the 90s, there was a second window when the Soviet Union collapsed. So it could be that there will be another window, but these windows last only 2 or 3 years, not longer. So do you understand that it is very important, that is very, very difficult to use these windows of history, this opportunity of history, to make it possible that the Circassian nation returns to its homeland and reestablishes its statehood.
Yes, Yeah, Muslim. Yes, we must use any window that is used for us. But just historically, let me just give you my understanding.
Yeah,
Russia's policy since 1833, 1832, and since the Russian war against Circassians and the Chechens and the Dagestani started, but started much earlier against the Circassians. And throughout the war that lasted 100 years, the Russian slogan from that time until this time, Russian policy during the Russian Empire, the Soviet Union, as well as the Russian Federation now, their policy is very plain and very simple and very clear. Circassia without Circassians. That's Russia's policy. That's the Russian nation's policy since the time they started attacking Circassians until today.
Excuse me, Iyad, I translate.
Now, in the past, there may have been windows when the Soviet Union collapsed, when after World War II, there was a little bit of a window to return to Circassians, to their motherland, or whatever it is. But I am here, a diaspora Circassian, and I could tell you this, Muslim, with the greatest sense of conviction and confidence. I am not going to return to Circassia and become a Russian citizen. I am not Russian. I will not be Russian. My father was not Russian. My grandfather was not Russian. My great-grandfather was not Russian. So if Russia opens the door for Circassians now, a small window to return to the North Caucasus and become Russian citizens, I will not take that opportunity and return as a Russian to Circassia. I will return as a Circassian to Circassia, not a Russian to Circassia.
Chamil.
Yeah. Did you finish the answer?
Yes. So we will pursue the return of Circassians under the right of return of Circassians to Circassia, not under the conditions of Russia to return us and not to return us. Russia will not give us any favorable conditions to return. As it stands right now, they want any Circassian to return to live in the North Caucasus in Circassia, to learn Russian and to have a Russian citizenship and to be a subject to the Russian and get Ukraine to go and fight with the Russians in Ukraine. And these are circumstances that are not acceptable to Circassians. And the final simple equation, Chamil, if you translate this,
yes,
just like Russia pushed Circassians out of Circassia, who remained of Circassians today will return to Circassia.
Excuse me, one more time, please.
Just like Russia committed a crime against humanity and pushed the Circassian nation out of their motherland, many of those Circassians will return to their motherland.
Iyad, Muslim explains that when he talked about the window of about the opportunity to return, it was not to accept the Russian citizenship. He is one of the resistance of the Caucasus, and he is sincerely concerned by the liberation of the Circassia, of all the Western North Caucasus and all the Northern Caucasus. So he's really talking about it sincerely and knowing and understanding the difficulties. So he says that as if you said that Russia expelled the Circassians, and so the Circassian will return. They must return by force, and this is possible only when there will be another window. But the window is can be very short. So now we must do everything to make what you say possible, that the Circassians return to the Circassia as Circassians and not as Russian citizens, and that the Circassian return to their homeland as they were expelled. So by force, by not asking the Russia, not with the permission of the Russia, But for this, there must be a moment when Russia would not be able to control its frontiers, and its territories.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, in the Muslim, the matter here is a principle, and the principle is what's right and what's wrong, and fulfilling historical justice. For Circassians, they have stayed 858 years in diaspora. They preserved their language, they married each other, they preserved their community. The only hope they had one day is to return back to the land that gave them their identity as Circassian. This is a guarded dream in every heart of every Circassian I know, that they will have the ability to connect back with their history. And that's the pursuit that we are pursuing under this principle today, that everybody would rally and would support Circassion among Circassians. And then if we have the unity of the North Caucasus nations and the unity of our brothers, the Chechen, the Ingush, and Dagestan, and we become a moving force in the North Caucasus, not necessarily militarily, but certainly as a political, diplomatic, and human rights driving force, then I think it is achievable, and we'll see. And eventually, if history taught us anything, is what's right will stand and what's wrong will fall. And if the Russian Federation fall apart, then Circassians do have that window of opportunity that you're talking about. And we're trying to prepare ourselves for that opportunity. But the unity among the nations of the Caucasus is going to make it more possible for us and other nations of the Caucasus to achieve our goals, not only for Circassians, but for Chechen, Ingush, and Circassians to repatriate, to return, and to have their rights as humans in their motherlands. And that's important.
Adel, please. Donc I will translate the words of Muslim. He said that he is very glad for your participation, and he expressed his sympathy for the Circassian brothers in diaspora, and he wishes that you will have the chance to return to our homeland. And he is also thanking Rizvan Kubakaev, who participated in this broadcast, and he mentioned that Nogai people are small people, but they always stood in defense of the North Caucasus, bravely defended it. So the Cherkess people also are very, very heroic people, and we should do everything that we can. So the population of Circassia returns and repatriates, and so we will have the possibility to reestablish the statehood of Circassia and the liberty of all the Caucasus and the independence of the all Caucasus. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you.
Dear brothers, I think that we should finish our broadcast this time. It was very interesting. Thank you for your attention, for your participation, for your answers, for your recommendations. Barakallahu fikum. Iyad, Adel, thank you for your time. Thank you for your explanations.
Thank you for everybody, and my best regards to all of them.
Thank you so much for everyone, and we enjoyed all these questions and answers.
Thank you very much. So we will finish our broadcast, and I will publish the recording of this broadcast on our new YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there?
Bye bye.